everyone, welcome back to the Girls Who Eat, Breathe and Dream Motorsport. I'm Danique. I'm joined here by my co-host Jamie, and we're joined by the lovely Jeff Dodds today.
Lovely, lovely. I love the fact that you called me lovely. I can't remember the last time. It's probably my mum. It's probably my mum, and I was about 7 years old last time I was called lovely.
But yeah, so first we always get into what happened in motorsport the past week. So Andretti got rejected an F1 entry, unfortunately, which I think is honestly a loss to F1 because we have seen how well Andretti has done in Extreme E, Formula E, and IndyCar. So I definitely think it's a loss for F1 because I think the Andretti brand would have brought a lot of American fans, especially to F1. We had incredibly big news with Lewis announcing he is going to be leaving Mercedes at the end of 2024 and joining Ferrari and partnering Charles Leclerc there. Red Bull has launched an independent investigation against team principal Christian Horner after allegations of inappropriate behavior today. And Hamda Al Kabaishi, and Emily De Heus are announced to drive in F1 Academy once again with MP Motorsport, supported by the Red Bull Racing Academy. Alex Dunn has been announced to be driving with MP Motorsport in FIA Formula 3 upcoming season, and F3 and F2 testing starts this Sunday, the 11th of February. Another Cascam episode went live yesterday, highlighting his third podium and his first race win in a row for Jaguar TCS Racing. And unfortunately, this week it's not a race week for Formula E as Hyderabad was cancelled, but it's only 39 days till the Sao Paulo E-Prix starts.
39 days. I'm counting. Are you going to ask me for my point of view on any of those things? Do you want me to give you a point of view on Andretti?
If you want to share it, feel
Well,
free.
look, I kind of feel like I should, and I say that because obviously Andretti are a team in Formula E. They have the reigning driver champion in Jake. And Michael Andretti, friend of mine, and therefore I was on WhatsApp with him during the week. I just feel really sad for them. I feel really sorry for them because I know how much time and effort, blood, sweat, tears the whole Andretti organization have put in to that bid. And I think we're all waiting for more information, aren't we? Because I think the explanation, which is they wouldn't bring anything to the sport, or they would get more from the sport than the sport would get from them. I think if you ever spend time in the US, Andretti are racing royalty in the US. They're one of those families, racing royalty families, and they're a household name, and and loved in terms of their relationship to motorsport across the United States. And we know that Formula One have spent an awful lot of time, effort, and money trying to break into North America, which is why we have so many races there. It's why they've invested so heavily in races like Miami and Las Vegas. So it just kind of doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me that spend so much time and effort trying to establish yourself in North America and then reject a compelling bid from a North American motor manufacturer and the Andretti brand, which is synonymous with motorsport across North America. So it doesn't make any sense to me. So I think we're all waiting to understand a little bit more.
Yeah.
And as for Lewis, he's a young man compared to me. But as for Lewis, I just love the fact that he has so much ambition left. Having achieved everything he's achieved in Formula One and in motorsport, to have so much ambition that you want to go again, establish yourself in a new team, and that you feel within that new team you've got a greater chance of success. The fact that he would throw himself into that again at this stage of his career, I think all credit to him. Really, really impressive levels of energy.
Yeah, I definitely think it was a shock to everyone, but on the other side, I feel like there's probably something within Mercedes that wasn't fully to his liking. And especially after that Singapore Grand Prix, where the team didn't even come to him to celebrate with him, I think that's already like partially what set the trigger for him to possibly start looking elsewhere.
I think racing drivers are winning machines, and you know a few of them, and when you get to know them well, that they live, they sleep, they breathe what's going to help them win. That's all they care about. So my assumption is that Lewis has looked at his options and feels that he has a better chance of being successful within the Ferrari organization. When it was announced, I think it was a shock for a lot of people. When it was announced, I quickly checked my messages on my phone because I hadn't missed a call from Toto Wolff asking me whether I was ready to step in and take that driver's seat. But alas, he must have the wrong number because the message hasn't arrived yet.
So unfortunate.
Yeah, they'd need a bigger seat. That's the only thing. But other than that, we'd be all good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happened the past week in motorsport. I think it's definitely been a chaotic week in regards to the news, but it's also been an exciting news week because everyone is now speculating like who will fill that Mercedes seat, where is Carlos Sainz going to go, um, all those things. So I'm definitely curious to see how it all falls out. Silly season started early.
Who do you think? Who do you think's going to fill the seat?
I've heard a lot of things, and I've heard rumors of Pierre Gasly possibly going to Mercedes. But I've also heard rumors that Alex Albon could be filling that seat. So I really don't know. I think it definitely depends on how the drivers perform upcoming season.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have no clue. It's very blank for now because you don't know what the other drivers want. Do they want to sit next to George, or do they want to stay like Alex? Does he want to stay at Williams to be their first driver? So yeah, you never know. I mean, I didn't expect Lewis to go to Ferrari, so everything can happen.
Is it
Yeah.
just maybe I'm obviously a big Formula One fan as well. I think you know that, but the investments and the training and the expertise required to compete at the highest level in motorsport, whether it's Formula One or Formula E or World Endurance, it's so challenging to be competitive. I think the likely outcome is what I would call kind of musical chairs. I don't know if you have that in the Netherlands, but kind
Yeah.
of just rotating, keep rotating the same people until someone finds a seat. There's part of me that really wishes we'd be surprised again by kind of bringing in someone new, a rookie into the championship, to bring a new personality in, to create a slightly different dynamic. But I suspect, given how much money is on the line and how fine the margins are between winning and losing, I suspect it will be musical chairs.
I think so too. It's what we always see with the Formula E season as well. Like I did not expect to see Edo move from Maserati to Mahindra, and then he did, and then
Yeah,
Jehan ended up at Maserati, whereas I would have expected him to end up in
with
Mahindra.
Mahindra.
So it's
Yeah,
very
it is
chaotic.
interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right. They call it silly season for a reason. It creates a whole load of excitement. And if you're a fan, it's like the football transfer window, isn't it? You know, if you're a fan, it creates a load of energy and focus around a really short point in the season, which does make it exciting. I also think a lot of people wouldn't have seen Nick and Mitch ending up together racing for Jaguar, given they're such good friends and have grown up together racing together in New Zealand, and yet here they are, ferociously competing with each other.
Yeah. I was watching the race in Diriyah and I was like, oh my God, Nick keeps saying, uh, how can I help Mitch? How can I help Mitch? But then I was hearing from friends who were listening to Mitch's radio, and they were like, yeah, but they're not telling Mitch what Nick is trying to do. And Mitch was so frustrated on the radio that it was like, oh my God, I hope they managed to talk it out after the race
Yeah,
because
they're
it
pretty
was
close
painful.
friends. I've been lucky enough to spend a chunk of time with them individually, but also a chunk of time with them together. And you see them together, they obviously have a fabulous relationship. I think for those of your listeners that weren't at the Diriyah race or not that familiar with it, obviously Nick exits Diriyah leading the championship from a driver point of view. Just had a fabulous start in a brand new team, in a brand new car for him. He's just had a fabulous start to the season. Mitch, though, I think Mitch showed us, a lot of people love Mitch, and I think he showed why they love him with his driving style in that race in Diriyah, where he was kind of nailed on for the podium. You play it safe, pick up a podium place, great. But there was the tiniest of gaps, and Mitch is wired to go for the little gaps, and he did, and it didn't work out for him. But it's why he has such a loyal following. It's why he's a super cool guy, and it's probably why he'll go on to be remembered as one of the best racing drivers ever in Formula E. So there's a long way in this season yet to go.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just sad that Rome is no longer on the calendar for the King of Rome. I've seen him win there 3 times now, like being at the race. So
you know what though, we will crown a king or queen of Misano as well. So there will be another crown gifted in Italy. So maybe not in Rome, but let's see what happens in Misano.
Yeah, let's see what happens there. So we have talked a little bit about Formula E now, because yeah, that's of course the field that you are most familiar with. So what we always want to learn a little bit about is who are you and what's your role within the motorsport world?
So you introduced me kindly. So Jeff Dodds, I'm the chief exec of Formula E, and time goes so quickly here. It's like dog years. I'm 8 months in to this role here, and it feels like about 5 years, but I'm 8 months into this role. In my first full season, I actually joined last year, midway through the season. I joined in Indonesia at Jakarta, and then saw out the rest of the season. My background, so actually half of my career was in automotive. I worked for Volvo when they were part of Premier Automotive Group, and then I worked for Honda. When I was at Honda, we were involved in pretty much every motorsport there was. If it had an engine, we raced it. Formula One, MotoGP, World Superbikes, British touring cars, Formula 4-stroke powerboat racing. In fact, they even made ride-on lawnmowers, and I think we raced those as well. I remember Jenson Button sitting on a lawnmower. When I was there in Formula One, the two drivers, Nick Fryer was the team principal, and the two drivers were Jenson Button and Rubens Barrichello. So have a huge passion for automotive, huge passion for motorbikes, huge passion for cars and for motorsport. But immediately before I joined Formula E, I worked for a company in the UK called Virgin Media O2, and that was half owned by a company called Liberty Global, and they are the largest investor in Formula E. So, and I was with that business for about 12 years in total. So, I kind of feel like it was a move within the family, if that makes sense, although it's not wholly owned by Liberty Global. I'm still working with a lot of people that I have a lot of affection for and have known for many years.
That sounds amazing. Like having such a passion and then getting to do such an amazing job. So I always wonder, like for many different people, a race weekend looks different. So what does a race weekend for Formula E usually look like for you?
Oh, Danique, that is like you'll be yawning with the amount of time a race weekend takes up for me when I start describing it. But so I normally get to the race venue. Let's say it's a Saturday race. I get to the race venue probably on a Wednesday night. I'll have meetings with various people around our ecosystem on a Wednesday night. Then on Thursday, most of my Thursday will be taken up by visiting the race venue, meeting partners, so sponsors, meeting media partners, so the people that broadcast the channels. I'll spend time with the teams. I'll go and watch some of the shakedown. I'll talk to my own team, have team meetings probably at the venue. And then on the Thursday night, I'll normally do some form of dinner. So it might be with the local government or the mayor or the city that are hosting the event, maybe with partners, maybe with media. Generally, I'll get to bed at some point mid-morning. So generally 2 or 3 a.m. And then I'll be up on the Friday, and Friday will be a full-on day for me. So Friday will be very, very busy. We have a whole meeting with what's called FETAMA, which is where all of the different teams and manufacturers come together as kind of an advisory board. So we'll have a meeting with the teams, meeting with the manufacturers, and really go through final preparations for race weekend. Friday is actually a much busier day for me than normally on the race weekend, because on Friday it's about preparing for the race. Normally a big function in the evening again, sometimes a gala dinner. We did a charity gala dinner in Diriyah. in Mexico, I did a big dinner with Roku, who's one of our new US broadcasters. And then the weekend starts, and the weekend I get to the race venue as early as possible. I like to get that feeling, like to see people coming in, like to see real fans coming in, get to chat to a few of those, go and speak to all the teams, go and speak to all the drivers, watch free practice. I'll watch qualifying. I normally watch qualifying sitting watching it on a TV, because I just think you get the best view of what's going on. You get to see the nuance in the race by watching it on TV. And then once we get to the sharp end of qualifying, to the semi-finals of qualifying, I'll often go down and watch it in the race garage with the teams involved in qualifying, so that I can talk to the team principals, get a sense of what's going on in the garage, how they feel about performance. Also, I just like getting a bit of their energy, because they get so excited. The adrenaline is really flowing. And then the race, and the race I'll either watch from the garage, or from one of our hospitality venues, sit there watching it with some of our partners, and often explaining to some people who are new to the sport what's going on if they don't understand the details of the race. Then I get the luxury of doing the podium afterwards. So I get to stand on the stage, and again, just get that experience of the teams and the drivers as they come up and collect their awards and their trophies. And then it depends whether it's a double header. If it's a double header, I get to do it all again the following day. If it's a single header, I'll normally then stick around and get the very, very, very final flight out to wherever I'm going next. Sometimes that's back to the UK. Sometimes it's off somewhere else. Mexico race. This year, I did the Mexico race, went straight from Mexico to Austin in Texas, from Austin to Houston, from Houston to Tokyo, from Tokyo back to London. So sometimes I go on to a different venue, sometimes I go home.
Sounds
Quiet
very
then, right?
exciting.
Quiet weekend.
I mean, to be fair, like if I'm attending races, like I'm there from the moment that the gates open. Like I remember in Monaco, we went, I don't remember how early we got up, but we were like there, we got there, and we immediately went to the line for the autograph session, because it was so early in the morning, and we were waiting there, and we were funnily standing behind some of our friends, so we had a chat with them, and then some people from Formula E came up to us and started chatting with us for a little bit as well. So it was a very fun experience.
The race that really surprised, but for Jamie, didn't it? The race that really surprised me, caught me by surprise, because you see the crowds, in Mexico, the crowds come in early, and a few of the race venues, they come in early. But the one that really surprised me was Portland. So Portland in Oregon. Now, Portland is obviously an IndyCar circuit. I think it's been used for NASCAR as well. And traditionally, those fans just arrive much earlier. So they just turn up much earlier to get the full experience of the day, really relax, really enjoy themselves. So I think we were really caught by surprise. I turned up to the circuit really early for Portland, and there were queues snaking all the way down the road of people that had turned up very early to get in. So yeah, it's brilliant. The earlier the atmosphere starts to build, the better, particularly for the drivers, because they really thrive. They feed on that energy.
Yeah, I've noticed that in the autograph sessions, definitely. Like, yeah, they really love the fan interactions, most of them, at least from my experience.
Well, and particularly the autographs are before the race. So of course they've all got great expectations for the race. So they're on great form, and the adrenaline's flowing. That's why we don't do the autograph sessions after the race.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Who's your prized autograph? Who would you most like getting the autograph of? Who'd you like seeing?
Oh,
I was very sad that we missed in Monaco the Maserati drivers. We had almost all of them. Only McLaren and Maserati we missed out of.
So you didn't get Jake? No Jake Hughes? No Sam Bird?
No. I do have both of them, because I went to Rome as
to
well.
Rome.
Yeah.
But I completely missed out on the Maserati drivers as well, because like in Monaco we didn't get up to them because we were busy waiting at Abt, because I'm a massive Robin Freins fan, and I wanted to get him to sign my flag. And in Rome it was just way too busy at Maserati, so I wanted to get to the other drivers first and have like little chats with them instead of waiting in line for ages and not getting the full experience.
So that's Jake Hughes, Sam Bird, Maxi Gunter, and Jahan. Yeah, they were the 4 you missed.
Yeah, last year it
last
was.
year.
Oh, you're talking
And it
last year.
was,
Yeah, we went last year.
Okay, so you had Edo and Maxi at,
Yeah.
at Maserati, and it would have been Jake Hughes and
Kenny Rast.
yes, Rene Rast. Yeah, I reckon. I can sort those autographs for you. I can close the gap for you.
That would be awesome. But yeah. But we're luckily going again to 5 races this year. We are
Yep,
going
great.
to Monaco, Berlin, and London. So that's
Amazing.
going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, make sure you come and find me when you're there. I'll walk you down the grid and show you it all from the other side.
that would be honestly so amazing, especially
It'll
Berlin,
be my pleasure. Yeah, it'll be my pleasure.
because Berlin is going to be my birthday weekend. So
Oh wow, okay. Well, I'll only walk you down the grid if you're sober. So that's the deal.
I will. I don't
Okay.
drink at race events because honestly, like you can have the best experience and have like so much fun by being sober and
Yeah.
like just
Oh yes.
thriving on the energy of the vibe that is going around, honestly.
Very,
But
very
yeah,
good. So I'll make a note of it. We're connected anyway, but I'll connect you afterwards. Let me know before the race when you're there, and you can have my number. Just text me or WhatsApp me when you're on site, and I'll show you it from the other side.
Okay, that's very, very nice.
that's so nice.
You're very welcome.
But yeah, one thing I always love is like the development that Formula E is going through. So what are the anticipated future ambitions of you with Formula E since you've only just started as a CAO for the sport?
Yeah. So let me do it in four. I'll do it in 4 different buckets for you. Let's talk a bit about the development of the cars, because I know you love the cars and you're interested in those. So we'll talk a bit about the cars. Let's talk about the development of the size of the series, the scale of the series. I'm writing them down so I don't forget what I'm going to talk about. We'll talk about development around sustainability, because obviously that's part of the reason we exist. And should we talk about? I know you have a particular point of view around women in motorsport. So let's talk a little bit about development in terms of bringing diverse talent into Formula E and into motorsport. So maybe I'll talk a little bit about that as well. So I think first of all on the cars. So you probably know all of this because you're big fans of the sport, but we're in Generation 3 at the moment. So last season, Season 9 was the first year of Generation 3. We have 3 years to go. So we're in the second year now, but we also have a mid-cycle upgrade. So there will be at the end of Season 10, before Season 11, we'll bring out what's called Gen 3 Evo, so the mid-cycle upgrade. And this year, we haven't said anything publicly yet, but I will say to you that it's a pretty material change to the car. So it will change the performance of the car in terms of how fast it accelerates and how fast it can go, but it will also change the look of the car. So they will look different to the cars you see today. That's for Generation 3.5, Generation 3 Evo. Then 2 years later, you get to Generation 4. And by the time we get to Generation 4, there are some pretty big changes planned for the car. So again, it will look different. I think you'll always know it's a Formula E car, but it will look different. But the acceleration on the car then, it's 0 to 100 kilometers or 0 to 60 miles an hour, will be unrecognizable compared to what you have today. The top speed will be much higher than you have today. So at that point, it feels like a huge step. Also, the battery capacity will be much larger than it is today. And that will give us 2 choices. It will either allow us to operate at higher performance throughout the entire race, or to make the races quite materially longer than they are today. So you could end up with races between an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes, which would be great. Or you can end up with shorter races around the 45, 50 minutes, but operating at much higher performance. So I think that's what we've got coming in terms of the car. In terms of the series itself, so I have a very particular view, which is we have some of the best racing drivers in the world. We've got the highest performance cars in the world, but not enough people know about us. Now, on one hand, I completely understand that. I'm quite forgiving of the fact we're 9 years old. And we're comparing ourselves to sports like Formula One, which is 75 years old. I think Le Mans World Endurance is nearly 100 years old. You've got NASCAR and IndyCar 100 years, 75 years old, and we're the little old sibling at 9 years old. So the fact we have nearly 350 million fans around the world already, and we're only 9 years old, is incredible. But I am very impatient. So I am very keen to grow our awareness and to grow the number of fans we have around the world as fast as humanly possible. So the second thing I think you'll see over the coming years is us being even noisier, noisier on social, bigger, broader media deals around the world so that we can get our product in front of more people in different countries. You'll just see and hear about us a lot more in terms of our noise level. Which is, I always talk in the business about being the noisiest, quietest sport in the world. So that's kind of my strap line. Third thing, sustainability. So when Formula E was born, way before my time, 9 years ago, it kind of had two ambitions. It wanted to be an elite motorsport that had sustainability at its core, but it also wanted to be a platform for education around climate change and sustainability that used motor racing at its core as a way of articulating and educating. If you think back 9 years, maybe the number's slightly wrong, but I think there were only 300,000 electric vehicles sold that year in the whole world. So to have the vision at the time to launch an electric motor series to educate around climate change when there was only 300,000 electric vehicles being sold was pretty incredible. When you consider now, I think this year there were about 13 million electric vehicles sold in the year. So sustainability has always been part of our kind of ethos, part of our philosophy. And we're not going away from that anytime soon. So even though we're been net zero from day zero, we're the #1 ESG rated sport in the world. The ambition of my team is to reduce our overall baseline carbon emissions by 45% between season 5 and 2030. So what you'll see is, even though those cars are getting more powerful, going faster, going longer, our baseline emissions, our ambition is to reduce by 45% between season 5 and 2030. And the final thing I should talk about is development of the talent around the program, around motorsport. Now, in almost everything I talk about, I'll only talk about Formula E, but actually probably not in this area. So I think you're familiar with the program we have called Girls on Track. So Girls on Track really is designed at encouraging more young women into STEM subjects at its broadest. So science, technology, engineering, mathematical subjects at its broadest. I don't know if it's the same in the Netherlands, but certainly the last time I looked in the UK, the number of women entering into STEM style subjects at school is very high. It's largely 50-50, maybe even slightly higher for women over men or girls over boys. By the time they get to higher levels of education, the number of women engaged in those topics have fallen away quite dramatically. Then by the time you get into university, it falls away further still. By the time you get into the workforce, it's very, very heavily skewed in favor of men. That's something we don't believe in. We think there's a huge amount of benefit to be gained by encouraging more women into STEM subjects. And of course, we're selfish. So within STEM subjects, we particularly like the idea of encouraging more women into motorsport. And within motorsport, I'm really selfish, and I'd love that to be Formula E, of course. So the Girls on Track program was designed over a small number of race events per season to encourage young women or girls to learn more about what it would take to take a future role within motorsport. So that means learning about how to drive the cars, the mechanics, health and safety, everything, the business side of it, everything to do with motorsport. And since that program started, which I think was also back in season 5, I think we've had around 2,000, well, I say around, I think 2,840 girls have been through that program. This year, we've decided to make a big step. So this year we've doubled the number of events, of girls on track events we host throughout the season, and we will put 1,200 girls through that program this season alone. So that's a pretty incredible step up. And our commitment to girls on track is enduring. So we will continue to invest in this, to put more and more of these activities on, to encourage more and more women into motorsport. And I would love to see, so my ambition would be, in my tenure here at Formula E, would be that we have women in the driver's seat of our teams. Again, I think we've had 3 women drivers in Formula E's history. I want more women back in the driver's seat. I'd love to see women in team principal roles, in chief engineer roles, more and more women more and more women working through the ecosystem. But that won't happen without serious investment. So one of the modules actually on Girls on Track is an e-karting module. And the reason we do that is to encourage more girls into the driving seats of cars, or of karts in this sense, because of all of the FIA license holders for racing, only 1.5% of them are women. So 98.5% of the FIA racing license holders are men. And if you think about how difficult it is, therefore, to come into motorsport as a woman and to make your way all the way through the system to end up driving a world championship car when there's only 1.5% of women that hold licenses in the first place, the odds are very much stacked against you. And therefore, we're doing everything we can to try and increase that number at the top of the funnel. So that's also something I'm pretty excited about. So faster cars that go for longer, more awareness, more noise in more countries around the world, improving our sustainability position all the time, and encouraging more diversity into the sport, into Formula E particularly.
That sounds absolutely amazing.
By the way, I can
goals.
Talk all day. So if you don't stop me talking at various points, I just keep talking. So you have to interrupt me lots.
No,
No,
it
that's
was
fine.
definitely very interesting to hear your view, especially on the Girls on Track, because I've seen it before and I've been so interested in it, but like I have difficulty where to start. And the fact that you said that you try to get them into the several aspects of motorsport, it makes me happy, because that's also what we're trying to show to everyone. So yeah, it's just very incredible to hear.
I think you do a great job. I'm very proud when I see a Formula E person featured on your Insta. I think it's brilliant, and I think it's really important, because I think a lot of people view motorsport as a driver sport. What they don't realize is the huge ecosystem that sits around it, whether it's the FIA, the governing body, the regulator, whether it's stewards, whether it's engineers, whether it's mechanics, whether it's catering staff or hotel staff, whether it's the promoter side, it's sponsorship people, it's marketeers, it's PR people, it's HR people, finance people. It's a massive ecosystem that exists around it. So I think you do a brilliant job of showing people that there's not only one way into the sport or the sector, there's lots of ways in.
Yeah, I really like to hear that as well, because that's exactly what
Yes,
we're
that's
trying to do.
Yeah, that's something we try to do. And as well with Girls on Track, it's so important that they see that there's so many choices what they can do. As well as like now with F1 Academy, I think it's very important for young girls to see that there is an opportunity for them. Like they maybe see other people on TV, but they don't see drivers. Whilst there still is a possibility to become a driver if they want to.
And there's some amazing organizations out there. So I think obviously Susie Wolff was a team principal back in Formula E in the earlier days, but obviously seeing Susie and what she's doing at F1 with the academy, I think is great. I think she's an incredible role model. I think we do a lot of work with Claire Williams. I think she was an incredible role model as well over at Williams, and is continuing to push for more women into motorsport outside of that. There's another great organization called More Than Equal. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they set out their ambition to find the first ever Formula One world champion who's a woman. And we've been talking to them as well. There's some amazing people in the Formula One landscape that are trying to drive bringing more people, more diverse talent into the sport. So we just all need to lead in and offer our support.
Definitely. So on that note, like, what is the best advice that you have ever given to someone, and what is the best advice someone has ever given to you?
Well, it would be a bit presumptuous for me to start talking about me giving great advice to people, but I'll come up with something for the sake of the podcast. But I feel a bit uncomfortable claiming that I give great advice. But I can answer the question for the best advice I've ever been given, and I'm afraid I'm going to name drop as I do it. So the greatest leadership lesson I ever got was somewhat from someone who you wouldn't expect to be giving leadership advice, and that was from a gentleman called Usain Bolt. So I met Usain back in, I think, about 2010, something like that. And I remember going out for a big dinner with him in probably would have been about 2011, 2012. I can't remember when, but went out for a nice dinner, and it was a quiet dinner. And, you know, I was trying to get conversation going. And the question I asked him was, of all of your gold medals, which one do you value the most? So what's the one you're proudest of winning? And I was pretty sure he was going to say his first Olympic 100-meter gold medal, which was in Beijing, or the World Championship gold medal in 2009, where he broke the world record for the 100 meters. And he actually said to me, the relay gold medal that we won at the World Championships. And it kind of confused me, because I didn't think he'd say a relay gold medal. So I started to ask him lots of questions about why. And what he explained to me was that the Jamaican team, they really, really value the relay because they love to win with their friends. Whereas a lot of other teams that are competing are much more focused on the individual gold medals. And therefore, when the individual medals are given out, they then worry a bit about the relay. Whereas the Jamaican team are focused on the relay as much as anything. And the reason is because if they win an individual gold medal, Usain always used to say, I go home after it, eat chicken nuggets, watch YouTube. It's quite a solitary thing. When I win a relay gold medal, lights out here. When I win a relay, sorry, they come back on. When I win a relay medal, I get to celebrate with the people I love most in the world. I get to celebrate with my friends, and it means so much more to us to celebrate together. And the more I thought about that, the more I realized that for me personally was a really important business lesson, because I've done jobs in my career where I've done them by myself, and you become an individual contributor, and I've enjoyed that, and it's nice when things go well. But when I've been part of a team and the team has achieved something, achieved maybe growing or merging a business or selling a business or launched a new product, but when you've done it as part of a team, the reward I felt and the kind of the excitement I felt was much greater than anything I've done individually. So I think there was a great leadership lesson from him to me, which is if you value winning as a team, you have to train as a team. And that means you've got to collaborate well together, really get to know each other really well, be clear on what the goal is, clear in everyone's roles. And if you do that, when you win together, you celebrate together, it feels so much better and bigger. So that was probably the best lesson I got. In terms of lessons I've given, maybe advice rather than lessons, and maybe for some of your listeners who are kind of on the early phase of their career or looking into the early phases of their career. I shouldn't guess who your listeners are, but I think a couple of things that I think now I look back. So I've just turned 50. So if I look back on 30 years of working, two things I think that are enduring for me, and the kind of things I would say to my own children. One, be really, really clear where you want to go in your career, if you can be. And if you're clear and you know what it is you want, be really clear with other people around you what you want. So talk to more senior people in the business, to your bosses, to your managers, and tell them what it is you want to achieve. Because I think a lot of people go through their careers assuming people know what it is they want. And trust me, we don't. So the clearer you can be about your ambition with the people that you work for, the more likely you are, I think, to realize it. That would be the first thing. And the second thing is, if you're ever offered a role to do something exciting or to do a new job, even if it's completely out of your comfort zone, if you're offered a role, whatever you do, don't say no to it because you're worried that you can't do it. That's the responsibility of the person offering it. So if someone looks at you and realizes that you've got great potential and wants to test you in a different environment or give you an opportunity to do something, you should never say no because you're not sure if you can do it. They've seen the potential, and it's their role is to ensure that you're able to be successful in that. So I've seen too many times in my career those two things: people that aren't clear enough about what they want to do next and often say no to opportunities or avoid opportunities because they're worried they can't do it, whereas they could have had the most amazing adventure by throwing themselves into something. So they would kind of be the two things I would offer to most people by way of advice.
That's great advice.
Yeah, definitely. Since we also are like we're we're trying to get this like to where we buy to where we get like to be able to show the stories of everyone. And Jamie and I have like before we even started it, we made like clear plans, like this is where we want to go, this is what we want to try to do. Um, our motto is aim high, and you've got to know you
Always
can always
ask.
get it.
Yeah,
You
always
you've
ask
got to
because you
know you
never
can
know.
always get a get. Yes, you never know.
Yes,
Yeah,
because if you
look,
ask,
and I
you
think
never know the answer. So something like we showed a shot with asking you on the podcast, and you guys said yes. And if we never
yeah,
did that, then we wouldn't have possibility to talk
a
to you right now. So that always
hundred
those
percent.
kind of things.
Well, look, and why was I interested in coming on the podcast? Really simple for me, which is anytime I read anything in social from people that are passionate about our product, I feel brilliant about that. So I love the fact there are people that are so passionate about it, they want to talk about it and share that with other people. So I kind of, for me, in a way, I wanted to say thank you for that, because I just think it's brilliant that you share that information with others and promote the series with others. The other thing is, I'm just really interested in people and other people's stories and their journeys. So meeting new people and understanding a bit about why you're doing this and what it is you're trying to achieve. And I think that for me, that's a fabulous use of my time. So I was delighted to be asked. But you're completely right, Jamie. If you don't ask, then you'll never know the answer.
Exactly. But yeah. So I always wonder, like, most people we talk to have some interactions with drivers, and
Mm,
we've had some crazy interactions with drivers ourselves, especially me in Rome, where I was waiting to uh chat for a little bit with Sebastian Buemi, and I was stood right in front of Nick Cassidy, and I just randomly started talking about the weather. So I always wonder, like, what are crazy interact or weird interactions that you've had with a driver, and what is your favorite one?
well, so look, I reckon. Well, by the way, when you met with Sebastian, did you get to see Sebastian? You did get to meet him,
Yeah,
Boemi?
I did get to meet him, and I met him like in Monaco before as well, and the day before as well. So
Oh, that's
I
cool.
was lucky.
So obviously, amazing driver Sebastian, and I think isn't he reigning world endurance champion as well?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yep.
incredible driver. I won't tell you the topic of the conversation, but Sebastian picked up a podium in Mexico. He drove amazingly well in Mexico. I think if I remember correctly, I think he qualified in pole and then picked up second place in Mexico. Um, I had a really weird interaction with Sebastian, not because the topic was particular, but it was on the podium. So when he came up to the podium, we ended up having the weirdest conversation about something. And it wasn't so much the fact that the conversation was weird, it was more the fact that we were doing it standing on the podium with about 25,000 people there applauding and cheering. And we were having quite a random conversation. But he's great value, Sebastian. Look, my interactions with the drivers are completely different to yours. So I would say when I see the drivers quite a lot. Um, I see them before they're racing when they're incredibly excited. I see them after they're racing when either they're very proud and excited or they're really disappointed. So I get to see the full range of their emotions and I get to see it up close, which is a real privilege, actually. I get to see that drama unfold in front of me. Um, what I would say about almost all of the drivers, and I've said almost, maybe it is even all of the drivers, is very competitive people, incredibly intense about their racing, but from what I've seen, all lovely human beings. So, you know, I've spent 4 hours with Sam Bird on the golf course, spent plenty of time with Jake Hughes, and Jake Hughes when he was winning and breaking the indoor world speed record for us. Plenty of time with Jake Dennis, Nick Cassidy and I sat next to each other at a long gala dinner. Plenty of time with Mitch up at Jaguar when they launched it. So loads of time with these people individually. They're all just really, really nice human beings that feel really privileged to be racing. So I don't really have any random interactions. What did surprise me coming into motorsport was I guess I thought some of the drivers might be a bit aloof, so not really want to interact too much and keep themselves to themselves and be really focused. And they definitely are before the race and around the race. But actually outside of that, I found them all to be really interesting, really engaging, really charming.
I definitely get that vibe, especially from the Formula E drivers. We went out in Monaco after the race and we saw the drivers there, and like they were just normal guys, and we knew that they are, but like just seeing them in that way definitely gives a new spin to it.
Well, I'll tell you, I will give you one random interaction. So when I flew to Diriyah, we flew into Riyadh. So my plane seat, I was on the plane seat next to Jayham Derivala. So we were having a long chat, and he was watching. We were both watching Netflix and kind of looking over each other's shoulders, see what each other were watching. And he was watching a Bollywood movie, and he was properly into it. He was getting really excited. So we spent the last 20 minutes of the journey with him explaining to me the plot line, and me asking him to recommend Bollywood movies to me because I'd never watched one. And he was giving me his kind of top 5 or 6 Bollywood movies. He promised to WhatsApp me with those recommendations so I could download them, and he hasn't done it yet. So Jayhan, if you're listening to this podcast, I am still waiting for my top 5 Bollywood movies.
We'll definitely make a tweet and an Instagram story with that.
Yeah, please.
But yeah, do you have any questions for us, first of all?
Well, I'll tell you what, here's a question for you. So let's say we swap seats. So I move out to the Netherlands and I start doing a podcast, which, by the way, you'd probably lose listeners for really quickly. You can move here, both of you together. I'm going to put an extra seat here so we can have Danique and Jamie both sitting at this desk. If you could make one change for Formula E, anything, any change you like, what would it be?
Oh, that's a difficult one.
It is a very difficult.
You can have one. You can have one each then, just so you don't have to consult.
So I was thinking, like, I went to Rome in season 8, and I miss the podium selfie nowadays. We used to have the podium selfie, and that used to be so amazing. And like seeing the way the fans were like excited to be on a picture for Formula E.
Explain it to me. Explain it to me, because I don't know what that is, Danny.
So, in season 8 and a few seasons before as well, Michelin was still the tire supplier, and there each race before the champagne, I believe, there was a selfie stick on the podium for the drivers to then use it to take a picture with the fans in the background while they were stood on the podium. So that was basically the podium selfie. And
very cool. Okay.
And each week, well, each race week, that would then be posted to the social media of Formula E.
So look, from this moment on, even if the drivers don't want to do it, I'm on the podiums. So I'm going to do the selfie for you.
That's lovely. I love that.
So I'm going to do the selfie. I might not quite be a selfie because I might keep my face out of it, but maybe I can get a photo of the driver with the crowd all behind him. But you'll get a version of the podium selfie from me going forwards.
I think I agree with Danique on this one. I think it's also showing a bit more interaction with the fans, because I think it's a good thing that we do the autograph sessions, because you have the feeling you're a bit closer to your favorite drivers. But that's something I missed in Formula One.
Yeah.
Because I went to Austria, that was my first race, and you don't have that, so they're a bit more further away. Whilst you have Formula E, it feels a bit like closer.
Yeah.
So I really like that.
Yeah.
I think that's
Oh, Jamie,
something
I think
Formula
you're
E
so
is.
right. I was going
Yeah,
to say,
I think Formula E is very good in that. That
yeah,
feels more closer to yourself, and
yeah.
it's not someone like miles away.
I use, and by the way, this is not meant to be a criticism. As I said, I'm a, I worked in and around Formula One with Honda, and I love Formula One. But I think Formula One sometimes feels quite exclusive. So it feels like you're on a Hollywood red carpet, or it's a premiere of a film. It feels quite exclusive. You feel one step removed, like they're untouchable superstars. Um, I'm absolutely committed for Formula E to feel really inclusive, which is a sport for everyone, where you can actually get up close and personal with the teams, with the drivers, interact with us, for it to feel more conversational. And I think neither of you are in Mexico, but in Mexico you had this brilliant setup where you had the garages, and the teams could walk out the back of the garage, so away from pit side, and they had like a grass area, or fake grass, but a grass area at the back of their garages with tables and chairs and set up. So as a fan, you could walk up to the edge of the kind of gating there, and you'd see the drivers would be sitting a meter away from you, having a Coke or something, and sitting there chatting. So even if you weren't trying to get autographs and things, you could get up close and personal and just see them chilling out and relaxing. And I love that. I love the fact that as a fan, you can feel that you can get quite an intimate relationship with the drivers.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that that's definitely what I see with Formula E. I see, like, also in previous years with the super fans handing out the trophies,
Yep.
I see that Formula E knows how important fans are, and that they do everything to be able
Yep.
to give the fans the full experience. Also with the podium ceremonies, having the
Yeah.
fans be able to really be there, like front row, except for Monaco, where it's of course not as easily
Yeah.
doable. But for all of the other races that I've been to, we could be like front row right behind the teams and have such an amazing vibe. And
Yeah.
even if you're standing in the middle of the crowd, everyone tries to watch out for each other, and just the whole of the fans being at the races and being so open and chatting to each other, even though they've never met, and
Yeah.
things like that. Like, that's one of the most amazing
Yeah.
things I've noticed with Formula E.
And we haven't talked about, you haven't asked me about noise, and as in the actual noise, the audible noise of the cars. But one of the things I think is, because the cars are quieter, it attracts a slightly different audience to the races as well. So I think you get more of a family vibe at the audiences. There's younger kids there as well, and people worrying a bit less about the loud noises and things like that. So and because of less noise, I found in Mexico. So in Mexico, I watched a race in Mexico from the stand. So I went into the grandstand and sat with just fans there that had no idea who I was, and I was just observing them and quite interested in how they were interacting with the race. But because of the noise levels, I could also build a relationship with the people there that I'd never met. So I could ask them who they were supporting and whether they'd been before, and we were having a conversation, which of course I couldn't have done at like a NASCAR or Formula One event, because we wouldn't have been able to hear each other. But I think it's very conducive, that environment, to getting to know people and feeling like a big family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's something we
definitely.
also try to do with the WhatsApp groups, because we saw also on TikTok that some people, they went alone, but then they feel also alone. And there are so many people, so you don't have to feel alone. So we
Yeah.
created those
Yeah.
WhatsApp groups for the European races,
Yeah.
because you are also going there, so we can meet up and you can meet people, and
Yeah.
that's something we missed. So we were like, okay, let's create that.
Yeah.
So it's also nice to see in those WhatsApp groups, you have like, most of them are like 12 to 15 people. So
Yeah.
that's
It's
really
great.
nice to see.
Very good. And I'm so proud as well. We're 3 races in. Those first 3 races, Mexico and the 2 Diriyah races, fully sold out. So it's just lovely as well when there's not an empty seat, with the grandstands are all full. What race are you looking forward to most this year? What one do you want to see most?
That's a difficult one.
I think London, because I wanted to go last year, and then I became ill, so I couldn't. I didn't get a last ticket anyway, so I was like, yeah, I want to go, but and then I got ill, so I couldn't. But that's something I'm really looking forward. Also because I hope that, like last year, it's decided in London. So
yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? I hope it's decided in London and it doesn't rain this year like it did last year.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Trust me, my stress levels are much higher when it's raining.
I was
Yeah.
in Spa during London and I was trying to see like what is going on in London. And I was so nervous for everything, especially considering it went
Yeah.
like so tight with Jake and Nick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm very excited for London. But I think for me personally, I'm looking more forward to Berlin
Yeah.
because we might have some reserve drivers in there because it's at the same time as
The
the
WEC.
Spa 6 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think they're both cool races. I've got to be honest, I'm so excited about Tokyo because
Yeah.
I'll tell you something I haven't told anybody about Tokyo. Oh, well, so Tokyo track looks amazing, circuit looks amazing. They're a very passionate motorsport country, as you know. They love their technology, love innovation, very passionate. Fully supported by the government there, so they're really engaged in it. But I went over to Tokyo after the Mexico race, and we opened ticket sales for Tokyo. We did it there and then. So I did it with the governor of Tokyo, and within 24 hours, all tickets fully sold out. So it's going to be a great vibe, Tokyo. I can just feel it's going to, and it's during the time of the cherry blossom in Japan. So there'll be people visiting Tokyo for the race will get to see the amazing cherry blossom and hopefully a fantastic first race in the city of Tokyo.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Tokyo. But I'm just sad that it's one of the races that I cannot be attending because it's so far away and so
It's a
expensive to
lot.
get there.
It is a long way away, and you forget how far it is actually. So when I travelled there, it was it was like a 14-hour flight to get there. The great news is the television still works between Tokyo and the Netherlands.
Exactly. So we'll be watching online, but we're gonna have the vibe anyway.
Oh look, sorry, my conscience has appeared over my shoulder now to tell me that I'm running late. I'm running late.
No
Have you got a last question for me?
I have one question from a follower.
Yes.
That is also someone who makes content about Formula E. Have you considered working more closely with smaller FE content creators on projects?
Yeah, so look, I think we have some we work with, as you know, and some influencers we work with. I think we're fully open to that. The challenge we have is there's so many of them that I would love them to reach out to us. So if anybody, whether it's through your channel or to us directly or whatever, but if people are creating some interesting content and they're building up an interesting follower base, and they want to try and do things with us in partnership or for us to share their content, they should just reach out to us directly. Do you have show notes on your podcast? Do you add any show notes at the end? Presumably when you put the podcast up, you can add comments on the podcast?
I always have like a little description, but I cannot.
Yeah, so on the description, we'll give you a link on the description or a contact details. And then if there are content creators or influencers or people that want to do more stuff with us in partnership, then they've got contact details for us to get in touch with.
Yes.
I read when you put up your post to say that we were doing this together, there were some questions underneath. I'm trying to remember what the first question was because I read it and laughed and thought you're bound to ask me that, and I can't remember what the question was now.
I think it was about you doing the predictions in the app.
There we go. Do I use the predictor app like everybody else uses? So here's the thing. So because it's our series, I'm not allowed to bet on anything related to the racing. Not allowed to. I think I think I get arrested if I bet on anything. So I don't bet on anything. Even you'd be amazed when people ask me who I think is going to do well or who I think is ready. If I say anything, everyone starts to think I know more information than they do. So they start to read into that. So now I just zip it. I say nothing. So no predictor app, no betting, no gambling. What I do in my own head is it's a bit like if you go to watch horse racing, you can walk up and down you see all the horses parading, and I know nothing about horse racing, but I look at the horses and you get a sense of their swagger and their confidence and how they look. I play that game when I walk down the paddock. I walk down the paddock looking at the drivers. I'm looking for the swagger of a driver that knows his car's fast, likes the tracks, feeling confident. In my own head, I'm thinking, right, who do I think is going to do well today? So I do play the game, but I only play it in my head.
Okay.
I mean, fair enough.
Yes, fair enough. We want to thank you for being a guest on the podcast.
My absolute
It
pleasure.
was lovely speaking with you. And for our listeners who don't follow us already, in the description from this week's episode, you will find the Linktree link and for our socials and the WhatsApp groups. And I want to thank you for listening. And we see you next week with another amazing guest.
Thank you very
Another
much.
Formula E guest, actually. So
Oh yeah, who have you got next week?
Sam Smith.
Sam Smith.
Oh yeah, he's much better than me. Much better than me. I'm
the
glad
way
I got
we-
in early. Didn't have to follow Sam. That would have been worse for
The
me.
way we named February is Formula E week because we only have
Yes.
a
There we
month
go.
because we only have Formula E guests this month.
Long may that continue. Hey, Jamie, Danique, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you both. Thanks for everything you do on your social channels, and look forward to seeing you at either Berlin, Monaco, or London. And I'll be now WhatsApping people asking them to send me autographs.
Okay.
All right, great to see you both.
Have a nice evening. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
you take care. See you soon. Bye bye now.
Take you back.